Hey there, folks. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm a bit concerned. That's what I wanted to talk about. I'm concerned that we are keeping each other ignorant. I'm concerned that there's so many nice people, good people, that are just too good to stop bad. Just let bad walk all over them. You know, if you think about it, if you think about all the people on the planet, and then you think about how many have got the internet access at all, how many have got the knowledge, the intelligence to understand a lot of the English language stuff that's out there. Controversial information. You know, it seems people don't want to really talk about controversial information. You know, people could say to me, you know, stick at what you're best at doing. And it's definitely not this. You know, it's definitely not talking to you about controversial issues, about world affairs. Definitely not. I wasn't born for that. You know, don't think for a minute that. I don't think any of us truth speakers on any of these internet video platforms really were born to do this. You know, I'd like to be a guitar player. You know, I am a guitar player. But to quote some words from Bill Hicks, Bill Hicks, the famous comedian, said, "By the way, is there anybody in marketing or advertising here? If so, kill yourself." Yeah, it's a strong statement, really, and there's a lot to that, a lot more. When I was a kid, I wanted to be into advertising and marketing, actually. It was the first job I ever wanted to try and get. And I'm glad I didn't get that job. All through the years I've been doing advertising and marketing for my own company, for my own music groups as well. And I've realised, you know, doing this marketing and advertising, how much of a big fat lie it can be. Essentially, advertising is not telling people what's wrong about a product, but trying to get them to buy a product. It's about selling something, you know. And that can be even a hobby, you know, even people who are making hobby videos on YouTube. They're still involved in advertising and marketing. I'm not really talking about the pop-up advertising at the bottom. I'm talking about people putting themselves across in order to make money. And so that the first intent for some people, it really is just to simply make money from the videos, money revenue. And so the marketing is a scheme that they've either devised by themselves or with a group of people of how to get subscribers, of how to get views, of how to become popular. And this is a whole thing in itself. You know, when you go to a record company and they give you a producer and record you an album, they market the record, they hype it, they tell everybody that it's amazing, they tell everybody that everybody else likes it. And so on YouTube, back to the point about, you know, my concern is that there's just too few people telling the truth, too few people talking about the controversial issues. And the bigger concern is the fact that if somebody is making a video, putting it up on YouTube, and never shows concern for global issues, for the fact that there's controversy and corruption in the world, if somebody's acting like that doesn't exist, then I think that has almost a reverse effect. It almost makes out as if there's no problems in the world. And I think a lot of parents shelter their children from the knowledge of the corruption of what's going on. And that's what I mean, they pass their own ignorance on to other people. And that's one thing that when the kids grow older, You know, I don't think the kids are going to like judge the parents based on what the parents did for the child. I think the children are going to judge the parents based on what the parents did for the world in the future. Because the children have to grow up in this world. And I'm thinking there's a lot of parents out there that are not talking about controversial issues because they're afraid of the government coming to get them. But at the same time, obviously it's the problem is that we're scared of the government, you know. I don't know, there's a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of videos that are just, to me, are just a waste of time. Just an absolute waste of time. And YouTube isn't just a hobby platform. You know, people around the world see these videos. It's not just a play platform, or not a toy platform. This is a real platform. This is real publishing. You know, if you say something wrong, you can really get done. If you use music from a film soundtrack without asking for the rights and stuff, you can get stung for it. You know, it's not a toy. And there's so many people putting up their own little hobby videos, putting across almost to me or to others as if the world's in okay. And I'm thinking, are these people, do they really think it's okay? Or are they the type of people, I ain't got time for that conspiracy stuff. You know, I ain't got time, you know, I'm too small to deal with the troubles of the world. But if we're going to replace the government with something, then we've got to replace it with individuals, with people, with us, with you see. But if you look at it, most of the people in the world have got jobs and positions and statuses to keep. So obviously they're not going to talk about controversial stuff. It'll put them at risk, you know, civil servants and that lose their jobs and stuff. They become called whistleblowers and stuff because they talk about the things that are wrong in their own work. So it's obviously everybody on the planet is not talking about stuff. Politicians are not talking about stuff. If only the politician says, oh, sorry folks, we can only deal with so much. We're dealing with war and that, but we're not going to deal with health or education. And then we'd know the score. And it's the same with the YouTube viewers. It's like, well, you know, I'm not going to cover anything controversial, you know. But then why? You know, I think you know what I mean, maybe. You know, but what do you think? So I'll try and put it into a question. Do you think that, well, first of all, I presume that you agree that there's corruption in the world that needs to be dealt with by somebody. I think we can agree on the fact that there's problems in the world. Obviously, maybe everybody's got a different way of dealing with those problems, for sure. But would you agree that by everybody kind of putting across that everything's okay and, you know, trying to get in touch with their spiritual self only, you know, rather than actually getting down to the nitty-gritty and looking at, you know, what the problems are in ourselves and in others and stuff? Okay, I guess that's not really a question. So I'll say it again. Do you think there's a danger in people just playing it down? Do you think there's a danger in people just putting up video after video that doesn't portray any problem? Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think in general, you know, to YouTube videos? Good, alright. I'll leave it there for now. See you later.